Okay, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Coffee with Tim. It's Tuesday, April 5th, and today I'm going to go over any answers to your questions, but I'm also going to go over basic CSS editing so I can show you how to do some basic edits on your inquiry forms or pricing pages or booking pages, whatever you guys want to see. But I'll kind of start with the basics so you can kind of get a good idea of how to do it. So let's get cracking. Before I even show you how to edit the CSS, I need to show you where you're going to save it. So you're going to go to Settings and then Brands. And if you only have one brand, then just choose your brand. I have multiple, so I'm just going to choose this. All right, so if I wanted to style my client portal CSS, I would do it here in the Client Portal tab. But for everything else that's general, you scroll all the way down to the Advanced Styling options, and here's where you can paste in the custom CSS code. For those of you who are like, what is CSS? Like, what is it? It's basically a way to add code to a website that tells it how to change the styles. So you can change fonts, sizes, colors, backgrounds, layouts, all kinds of cool stuff just by writing some little snippets of code. And if you're not a coder, which most of you probably aren't, then don't worry, because it's actually a little easier than you may think, especially after I show you guys what to do. So this is where you'll save it, and you can just hit update on each of these little fields, or just hit the big update button at the bottom to save it. So what I'm going to do, I might as well show you the inquiry form styling first. So I'm going to go over here to my inquiry fields tab and grab this link and open it in a new tab. All right, great. So here is my form. Let's say I want to change some styles on this. Well, if you're using Chrome, which I highly recommend, Google Chrome, you can right-click anywhere, and there's this little option called Inspect. So just click on that. And then, of course, the matrix opens up, and people get really nervous when they start seeing this. Oh my gosh, it's the matrix. Ah, look at all this code. This is crazy. Don't get overwhelmed. The really cool thing about this inspect tool is wherever you click, or if you hit this little icon here where it selects an element, you can hover over something and it will highlight it over here for you exactly what that element is that you're about to target. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. And I can see that it's a div, which is basically like a primitive building block for websites. And on this div, there's a class. Actually, there are two classes. One is called alternate row style, and one is called normal. You'll notice that the next row has the normal row style, but also the normal again. So I can tell that just by looking at this, that every row that has that gray background color has the class of alternate row style. I'm hoping this makes sense so far. So what I can do is over here, I can type the name of the class, and you'll just need this little period in front of it to let CSS know that you're doing a class, not an ID. And there's a difference. So over here, you'll see I'm clicking on this div. That has an ID of main field wrapper, but it also has a class of normal. An ID, basically, multiple divs can have the exact same class, but they can't all have the same ID. So an ID is unique, but as you can see, like all of these different elements have the same class. Alternate, normal. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, the ID is unique and the class is not. So over here, I was creating my style using a period to let it know that I'm targeting the class. And if you look closely, it'll even show you what is already existing. So here's the same style, alternate row style. It has a padding of 10 pixels. Its display is set to block. Its height is set to 100%. And there's that background color, E9099. So if I wanted to, I could do background color and set it to, here's red, you'll see instantly over here, there's my change. Well, clearly I don't want red on this form because that's pretty insane. But what I could do, set it to transparent, and now there's no distinction between the rows. Now it kind of looks like just like a simple form. So that's really cool. What I can do is then highlight this, copy it, and then over here in my General tab, I'll scroll down, and in my Inquiry Form CSS, I'm just going to paste that new code that we did in here and hit Update. All right, it was successfully saved. So now if I refresh this, it should look exactly like what we just did. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so that's great. Now let's say we wanted to do let's just say we wanted to make it so that there's this field label and then the fields appear right underneath it. Okay, well, let's first figure out what's going on over here. So I right-click and inspect it on this text field, and I can see there's two text fields, first and last. And then I can see it's wrapped in this little right title class div. So over here I can see, all right, here is the right title style. I'm going to copy that and hit this little plus new style rule. And in here, instead of floating right, I'm going to float it left. Instead of clearing right, I'm going to clear both. So now it's appearing underneath it. I'm also going to give it a margin top of 10 pixels to kind of space it out from those field labels. So just by adding these 4 or 5 lines of code, we now have it looking more inline. So once again, I'll go over here to my brand settings, paste this new code in right underneath the other style, and hit Update. And now when I refresh, perfect. Looks exactly like what we just did. So we know that the code is working. And we can do all kinds of different things. We can change the style of the submit button to change like the color, the text. We can get rid of this image background, and I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and there's lots of tutorials online for all of the different properties that you can do for each type of element. So obviously this is just kind of like a basic thing, but you can get really advanced with stuff like that. I just made those text fields a little bit bigger and bulkier and got rid of that little background image. And obviously to have this save, I would just copy this and then paste it in here, because just editing it here live, it's not going to save it to the web. So cool. Do you guys have any questions so far about what I've shown you? Oh, did you do that over the CSS that was in there, or did you do it under the one that was in there? Oh, as far as my brand settings, is that what you mean? I already had one style in here, so I just put it right underneath, and you can just keep adding underneath each style that you add under there. So yeah, most people will have nothing in here, so they'll just be able to just start pasting right away. Well, I'm also a coder, but anyone can do this, especially when you use that inspect tool to be able to. A really cool thing that I would recommend doing, like say you go to, you're on a website like Pixifi or whatever, and let's say, oh man, I really like this blue button. I hate this gray standard button. I want to make it look blue like this. Well, the cool thing is when you use that inspect tool, right click inspect and here's the button. Whoops, I just moved my mouse, sorry. I can see that this upload button has a class of button BTN, blue, and button small. So there's 3 classes applied to it. And then over here, I can see here's the class of button, and these are all the different styles applied to it, like white space, and then there's a transparent border. Text align is set to center, which I could change and make it left or right or anything like that. There's got vertical lines. It has padding and a line height and a border radius to make it have like those little rounded corners. So if I want to, I can start copying and piecing these all together. So let's just try that as an example just to show you. So I'm going to right click on this button. Now I see it has a class of button, BTN. So what I can do is over here, I'm going to create a new button class. So we'll just call this BTN. And then in that class, I'm going to copy over some of these styles. So I have color and background color. Cool. Hasn't done anything yet. And what I will tell you is sometimes when you're overriding styles, you have to do this exclamation point important. That you usually have to do when there's a lot of styles all competing on the same page. So by me adding that little important, now you'll see it's blue and white. It's actually grabbing the style. So let's go over here. We can copy, this style and add that in there. Important. Well, that's really tiny. Whoa, that's too big, so we'll just do 1.5. Okay. You could literally just go right on down the line and copy the styles that you want into it. And then just remember, if it doesn't show up right away, just add that important property right after actual value that you set. I know it's kind of crazy for some of you, and it's coding, so some of you are probably throwing up right now. It's like, oh, it's code, ah. But once you jump into this, you're going to go crazy. You're going to do so many cool things. And like I said before, there's so many tutorials online and videos that go way beyond this basic one that can show you, how to do pretty much anything you want to do with CSS and elements on the page. Okay, let me see. Tony said something. Yeah, sure. Yep. So his question was, I have my inquiry form embedded on my website, but the background color is not what I want it to be. I want it to match my page. So here my inspect tool, all the way over here. I'm going to go to body. And right now you'll see body has a background color of white. So I'm just going to create a new thing right over here. I'm going to set it to background color. I'm going to set it to either black, which is all zeros. You don't have to memorize that because there are hexadecimal color pickers online. And I think, let me just, yeah, so even in Chrome, you click on this little square, and then you can change the color. So you can see it changes it dynamically on the page for me. So you don't have to know the hexadecimal of all these colors. I've been doing it a long time, so I know. And so right now, I just set it to black, so that could work for you. And you might also want to set color to white. Whoops, important. And so now I can actually see the text that I just changed. So add that over here. Scroll down, add it right after my other definitions. Just increase this real quick so I can hit update. Cool. And now when I refresh, It should look exactly, yep, how we left it. Perfect. Oh, I forgot to copy over that custom button style. So always make sure that after you do one style, you copy it over. I already lost it. And so if I didn't want these fields looking so white and like right off the page, I could then right over here just create a new text block. I could set the color to white and the background. So here's one where we're going to do a compound style. So within background, this background property, you have background attachment, blend mode, clip, color, image, origin, position, repeat, and size. Those are all like subclasses, if you will. I don't even know if that's the correct term, but I can also set just background and then have it auto pick up some of those properties. So I could say for background color, I'll do transparent. I didn't have to actually do background dash color and then set it transparent. I can do it all within the background property, and it just knows. If I hit this little triangle, you'll see it's setting all the rest of these behind the scenes and then picking up background color transparent. Isn't that cool? So I could say background none for no background image, and then transparent for color. Or I could even go crazy and do an RGBA, which is red, green, blue, and alpha. I could do a faded kind of transparent white. So now it's not so bright. And this little RGBA, this is also, you can also use the color picker to do that. So you can set the red, green, and blue, and then this little guy does the alpha. You know, how transparent is it? So yeah, I'm trying to show you guys lots of cool stuff, but not go too fast. And remember, you guys can always go back and watch this again and be like, oh, this is awesome. So I'm going to copy this style right here, paste it in here just so I don't forget and lose it, and hit update. Sure. And then refresh just to make sure it's stuck. Oh, awesome. So yeah, now we went from a super basic form to now this crazy black and white and transparent form. You guys want to see anything else? Does this help so far? I'll also paste all of this code in the chat window just so you guys can experiment with it. Here, paste that in there. Cool. But you guys can just kind of, you know, mess around and kind of change things around and see what it does. So you can experiment. Mess around and kind of change things around and see what it does. Would anyone else like to see anything else? Any other questions? Want me to show you something different? Since this video is being recorded and I haven't recorded a video since the image pickers were added, I'll just do that real quick. And then I'll go and see if you guys have any questions. So since the last Coffee with Tim, I went through the website, and anytime there was a image URL field where you used to have to go and upload an image to PhotoBucket or your website or somewhere else to host it and then paste in the link, now you can go here and you'll see, okay, for the header image, I can just click select and upload and then hit upload file. And then from there, you can just, once it's uploaded in here, you can just hit select and that will paste it right in there. And so yeah, you'll even get these little previews so you can see what the images are in case you can't tell by the file name. So that definitely is pretty cool. And so it's pretty much everywhere. So when you're in a service, you can do that as well so that each of your services have an image, and that way it'll end up looking like this. Well, obviously not exactly, but then you'll have all of your images hosted right there in Pixifi, and you won't have to worry about having to upload it somewhere else. So yeah, if you haven't seen that or used it yet, definitely get in there and start doing it. It's going to save you a lot of time, and now it's all in one spot. So all right, so I'm going to see if we have any questions. Let's see. Email templates. I have a lot of email templates. How do you bring it up? How do you bring up all your email templates when you're in the workflow or about to compose an email? So Candace, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but I will kind of explain email templates to you, and hopefully it'll make sense. So with each email template you have, you'll see they have this type over here. So these two email templates will only show up on a booking page. I won't be able to send these emails from a client or from an event or from a lead or anywhere else, just from a booking page. And the reason that is because for each type, so you see these are all the different types. For each type, there are different variables that are available for that type. So here you'll see for like the booking page, it has a customer first name and last name. When your booking page is set to not automatically book, and you still have all these different custom fields down here. Those are my custom fields, invoice and client fields, stuff like that. So it all depends on what variables that you see here in this email message are available at that time. So for instance, you'll see that these few are client types. So I'm just going to load up one of those. And you'll see that there's only client and then obviously custom fields available. So there's no event, no contract. You won't see any of those variables here because this one, because it's set to client, will only be sent from an actual client's profile. So yeah, I hope that totally makes sense. Each email template is typed, so to speak, for where it'll be sent from. Some people will create one first, then duplicate it, and then just add the extra variables that are available. So say like you made a client one that you'll send from a client, but you also want to have a very similar one for sending when they have an event. You could just duplicate it and then change up the variables that are actually available for that type. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And the same goes for workflow templates. Not that you asked that, but I just want to go over that too. When you create a workflow template, they also have a type. So some people are like, I created this event workflow and I'm trying to apply it to a lead, but it's not working. I don't see it. It's not showing up. And my answer to them is, don't forget, you need to create a workflow template as like the type has to be either event, project, or lead. So if you want to have a lead workflow, just make sure you set the type. So yeah, I hope that clears up anyone else who's watching this, even if you didn't ask that. Have any of you guys used the new Square integration yet? Awesome. Cool. Would anyone else like to see something or ask a question about something? Happy to show you whatever you want to say. Absolutely, sure. So the other day, um, I launched a little teaser called the Pixifi Academy. That's all that's on the page, and that's all I said. I didn't even say anything about it, um, which is pretty rotten of me. I know, I know, I know. I could not resist, though. Um, that's all that's on the page, and that's all I said. I didn't even say anything about it, which is pretty rotten of me. I know, I know, I know. There we go. Sorry, I had to mute that. That was causing some feedback. Okay, so anyway, with the Pixifi Academy, I'm currently working on building up a complete, like, a whole series of step-by-step videos. So right now in our support portal, um, there's like random support articles about different topics, and some have videos and some don't. Some videos are old and some aren't. Um, with the Academy, you'll basically be able to quote unquote enroll and go from one video to the next in order to fully set up your account. And then there'll be a whole section of then, sort of like tips and tricks and other things like that videos. But at least people will be able to go like right from as soon as they sign up, they'll be able to see how to set up their account. And it'll also be good for people who have been with Pixifi for a while but may have just done it all on their own. And so, they could go through these videos and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could set that up, or oh, that's how that works. So it's going to be, I'm really, really excited about it. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm putting it all together, and it's going to be really, really cool. So I hope that answers it. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. And I want to make things easier for people, so I knew it's about time we get something fully fully immersive like this, or whatever you want to call it. Anyone else have any questions? Just type in the little chat box on the side and let me know, and I'll show you whatever or answer it for you. We have another 30 minutes left, which is plenty of time. So cool. You have a custom email address on Gmail? What do you mean by that? Is that like the Google apps for work or whatever they call it? Is that what you mean? Okay, cool. Yeah. So what you're gonna do? There's actually a very specific. I'm gonna load up the support portal real quick to show you. There's a very specific set of steps that you need to do to get that enabled. So here, the setting up Google Apps for Work. You'll basically log into admin.google.com. Go here to security, go to basic settings, and this whole article will walk you through it, because you basically have to enable two-step verification for your Google Apps account. Then you have to go to settings for less secure apps, check to enable less secure apps, then save your changes, make sure that you can go and create your app-specific password down here, and then once you've done all that, then you can go to settings, brands, and your brand. And then over here in the custom SMTP, which is for sending out emails, you can paste all that in. And then for the email sync, which is how Pixifi can look through your inbox and stream the emails in, you would just paste those settings in here as well. And each time just hit that test settings before saving button just to make sure that it works, and then hit save. Otherwise you get all kinds of errors throughout the website. So yeah, just go to the little question mark, the support center, and then find that Google Apps for Work thing. Cool. You're so welcome. Awesome. Candace, can you show your workflow visualizer? Yeah, sure. On my dashboard, as one of the widgets, so let me just real quick show people who haven't done that yet. You hover over dashboard and hit this little edit dashboard. And then if you haven't customized it yet, you'll see most of these widgets on the left side. You literally just drag and drop them over and then drag them in the order that you want them shown. And then just hit save. And so I've added my lead pipeline tool where I can drag and drop leads into these lead statuses I've created. And then down here is my workflow visualizer. And so what I'm guessing Candace is seeing is also what I'm seeing with a few of my events in this wedding workflow. So here's what's going on. When you create your workflow template, which just happens to be this duplicate one that I have, whatever number of phases that you set up, and I actually have a few more phases in the older ones, as you can see here. The older ones had 3 or 4 more phases than the other ones down here do. Whatever's currently in the template right now will display up here at the top. And then I'm trying to explain this, like trying to find a good, easy way to explain it. But basically, when you apply a workflow template to an event, it is going to create it statically based on the template. So give it a second to load. Oh wait, I think I clicked too soon. Yeah, okay. So it took the template and then just created all the little items from it. Well, if I go and change that workflow template and erase phases or add phases or remove tasks or add tasks, it's not going to touch this workflow that was applied to this event, because this is basically just a copy of what the template was at the time. I hope that makes sense. So in here in this visualizer, you'll see that this event and this event and this event, they were applied before I changed it for this event and this event. So that's why the columns don't match up, because there are more phases now. I guess there is more phases now than there were then, because otherwise these wouldn't be showing up. So what you can do, if you want them all to match up, is just hit change workflow, which will delete all the tasks and all the phases, and then just which one was this? I don't even remember, but it'll just reapply your workflow, and now all the phases will be up to date from the the new changes. Also, be aware that if you have automatic items in your workflow, like these, they're going to be rescheduled once you reapply it. So you'll want to just delete them real quick. That way they don't get resent. And check your questionnaires in case you have auto questionnaires, which I do too. And now when I refresh my workflow visualizer, I can just go to page 1 or page 2 and then back to page 1, and that'll refresh it. And so actually, I don't even remember which one I clicked on, but at least now it has the I think this one was one that already had the same phases, but that's all right. You get the picture. So yeah, yep. That's just why they all look kind of whacked out. I'm currently in the process of redesigning the workflow visualizer. So that way it's way more compact and it's going to look a whole lot cleaner and easier to use. So um, you're going to like it. It's going to be really cool. Would anyone else like to see anything or have any other questions? Building the client portal? Can you elaborate a little bit? Okay, so for the first one, yes. Um, when you first start with Pixifi, there's a getting started wizard, and it kind of walks you through um, lots of defaults and default settings. One of those steps is for creating email templates. But at any time, if you've already closed that wizard, you can just click this show wizard button real quick, and then it'll refresh this page, and you'll see all of these different email templates you can select. Just hit the ones you want, or just hit select all and then hit finish, and then that will create all those sample email templates for you. You'll definitely want to go through and change them all, but it'll at least give you a good starting point for what variables you'll want to use and stuff like that. So that'll definitely help. Okay, and so Candace, you're not sure how to set up the client portal. Great. Well, here, let me show you. So every brand gets their own client portal. So if you go to settings and then brands, and then if you only have one brand, then it doesn't matter. But just settings, brands, and then edit your brand. And whatever this custom URL you set up, like mine, I chose Hussy Photo. But whatever you choose will create your, either one of these links are your client portal. You can use either one, doesn't matter. And so I'm just going to open that in a new tab just to show you. So here it is. And each client record that you have in Pixifi can have their own login. So I'm going to load up a test client real quick, going to contacts and then clients. And I'm just going to load up this first test client. Cool. And so here where you see this portal setup, this client portal setup code is a unique code just for my client. And when they go to the client portal like you just saw and type it in at the very bottom, like first time, it will pop up this, hey, now you can create your username and password, and they can create it for themselves. So they'll just paste that right in. Or if you want, there's a variable in the email templates called client portal setup code or something, and it takes them to an actual URL where if you look closely at the top, you'll see that the code is automatically added, like appended to the end. And so it just automatically says, hey, here, create your username and password. So, and then every time they can just go and log in. Now, say your client has already created their client portal, but you don't even know what their password is because it's encrypted. Like so here, if I click on edit real quick just to show you, if I scroll down here to other info, I can see what their username is. Like on this one, I just made it username Facebook, but their password is encrypted, so you'll never know what it is. What you can do is click on Actions and then log into Client Portal, and it will take you. It'll just log you right in as them. So now you'll get to see exactly what they see. What events you've already scheduled for them, what contracts they have to sign. This is what they see. Um, so yeah, let me log out of there. So yeah, that's it. Once you've created your brand URL, then you can send them their setup code. Or I mean, you could technically um, create a username and a password for each of your clients, but that's just too much work. It's so much easier if you add that URL, the setup URL, as part of your like contract thank you email. That way they can just do it themselves, and it'll be so much easier. And you put all the work on them. So yeah, cool. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yep. Anything to remove more work for you is so much better. So don't make more work for yourself. So, Eric, you're saying here in this events listing, you want one more field or one more filter that says um, just all upcoming. So it wouldn't even technically be all events this year or even next month. It would just be like anything that's um, in the past wouldn't show up. So it would just be kind of like upcoming, and then just to have that as a filter, and that's what you're asking for. Cool. Well, while I'm here on the events page, in this event filter options section, I don't know how many of you actually use this to, see all of your different events, but you can even you can filter by when an event was actually booked on. Um, I mean, there's so many different things you can do. Another cool thing you can do in the clients module. I'm not sure how many people even see this because there's just so many things to look at in Pixify. But when you click on filter options, you can obviously filter by category, filter your clients by category. You can also filter by, like I could say, any clients that I've invoiced more than $2,000. This, and now I've limited this list already. I'm gonna change the view real quick. There you go. It's a little more clean. Or show me any clients I've invoiced more than $5,000 for. Now my list is getting smaller. So yeah, I mean, there's some really cool stuff. Show me clients who first contacted me between these two dates, or who have events within these dates. Um, there's lots of cool filtering you can do. And then once you've filtered all your clients, like say right now I've filtered by clients who are, well, let me just remove that real quick, the category. So in this current listing, I've filtered by any clients who I've invoiced more than 5,000. Let's change it to 8 just for fun. And then I can, batch assign these their own category. So say I'd already created a category called, um, clients greater than 8,000 or something like that. I could then batch apply that client category, which you can also set up right here in the next tab over. So I guess we could just do that real quick. I could say, Um, all right, so let's just change this batch update real quick. All right, so there's my new category. I'm going to batch apply it to all those clients. So now you can see they all have it. And the cool thing I can do with that client category now is I can export all of these clients to that are in that category to MailChimp or one of the other bulk emailing services, and these people will now all be on the clients greater than 8K list. And so then I could all send them all an email just saying, I'm so glad that you guys have given me so much business over the years, blah, 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 whatever you want to do. So that's just something cool you can do with client categories and the filtering. So I'm going to remove that real quick. Cool. Is there anything else anyone else wants to see? Oh, I didn't even see that other question. I'm so sorry. So can you show me how the booking system is working? I'd like clients to be able to book a slot of 2 hours of shoot with me and pay the photo session straight away. Oh, yeah. That's what the booking system's all about. So here, I'm going to go to booking page settings and then booking pages. I'm going to open up my test booking page real quick just to show you. All right. So on a booking page, you create these things called services. And then you can also do add-ons, which are like a la carte items or ways to upsell. So within each service, you tell it what event type it's going to be once the event is booked. And you can create all of your event types in the event types in the events module, or here under settings, lists, and types. Oops! Oh my word! I'm going crazy. And event types, you can set them all up there if you skipped them in the Getting Started wizard. So that's where these are all coming from. You can tell it how long the session will be. So even though this title says 30-minute, I've changed it since then because this is just my demo page. But you could say yours would be 2 hours. And here I have a time slot increment. So it depends on which type you also choose. So right now, you can either choose incremental or predetermined. And I'll show you the difference. Right now I have it set to incremental, so it's going to increment these potential time slots every 15 minutes, according to this. Give it a name, give it a price. You can upload an image, whether it's taxable or not, and then what contract do you want them to sign if you want them to sign it, what workflow template to automatically apply so that you can keep yourself on track and automate some of the stuff. Event reminders, invoice reminders, payment terms. So if you want them to pay right away, make sure you set up a payment term template, which you can find at settings, lists and types, and payment terms. And that's just a template that tells Pixifi how to split up the payments on the invoice that gets generated. And you can even go crazier in the advanced section and pull from a Google Calendar, limit which days it's actually available, and if you wanted to change price on a certain day. So like right now, it's $120 more on a Friday, but I could always make it actually $120 cheaper on a Friday. There's so many things you can do in the advanced section. You can have it automatically apply a location to the event, since you know already where you're going to be shooting it. You can do all that kind of stuff. And so here, when you click View Booking Page, this will be the link that you actually send to your clients. They can go on, and when they choose that, here I could choose my upgrades and stuff like that, but I'm not going to choose anything. Now you'll see here are the time slots available, and they can just go. And right now on my service, I had it set to hide the end time. So if you wanted to actually display, oh, sorry. Going crazy here. So here in the advanced options of that service, see where it says hide end time? I can just hit no and hit update. And now when I refresh, Now you can see this is 2:30 to 3:30, 2:45 to 3:45, 3 to 4. Like these are all the potential time slots that my client could generate. And so here's the difference then between incremental and predetermined. So these are all incremental by the start times are all incremental by 15 minutes, but they're still, the full hour duration. If I switch this and set it to predetermined each 1 hour, now watch what happens. Now what it, this is actually going based on my booking calendar. But anyway, now you'll see it'll do like 8 to 9, then do that 15-minute in between, then 9:15 to 10:15, then a 15-minute in between. So now instead of like potential time slots, it's actually doing them one right after the other. So it's kind of predetermined these time slots. So that way, like with the other way, if someone booked the let me just switch back just so I can show you the incremental. So if someone booked this 2:45 to 3:45, then this 3 o'clock wouldn't show up, and neither would this 3:15 or this 3:30. They would no longer show up because this is actually 2:45 to 3:45. So I hope that makes sense. This is just kind of like making like incremental ones possible, where the other one is mapping them all out one right after the other. And this one, obviously, now that it has lots more possible time slots, there's tons here more. So yeah, oh yeah, this tool is crazy powerful. I put a lot of work into it, so I hope you hope you'll love it. Get in there and make crap load of money, and it's awesome. And then for people who do like mini sessions where it's on a specific day and not an open calendar like this, what you can do is right over here, you can say, listen, I want this service only available, let's just say the 8th from, oops, there we go, the 8th. From 9 to 8. And now it won't let me choose a date on the calendar. Now it's just for this specific date. So there you go. Tony, is there still a need for the workshop module? Oh, absolutely. So a situation where you'd need the workshop module is, so right now I have these specific time slots for this date. Where the workshop module would come in really handy is, say I had an event going on for a day where I wanted people to book, like multiple people to book the same event for the same time. Like with here, I couldn't have 10 people book this 11:45 to 12:45. I mean, there's other ways you could do it. Technically, you could set up multiple brands or multiple staff members, so that way when they book, it's only with a certain staff member. But the workshop module would be because they would just buy the tickets to it, to the session, so you could have whatever limit you want to set on that. Yeah, yeah. There's definitely some overlap now on the way some people used to use the workshop module and now the way the booking pages work. So yeah, there's definitely overlap, but it's still, the workshop module is still useful. Anyone else? Just a few more minutes left. And if no more questions, we can just end it now, but all right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with Coffee with Me. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And yeah, tune in next week at 1:30, and we'll do it again. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for attending. Have a super day. All right. Bye bye.